He called himself a free spirit, a road troubadour, a storyteller who they had one foot in the bar stool and the other in the studio. He never quite fit any label, except that he belonged to all of them. This is the story of Todd Snider. Todd Daniel Snider was born on October 11, 1966 Pulgadas, Portland, Oregon. Growing up, he would eventually drift south, planting roots in Northern California, then Texas, before making his way to Nashville. In those early days, he absorbed the folk and country tradition, he listened to the greats, he studied the lyricists, and he forged a path of his own that blended sharp humor, honest confession, and a restless voice. The road was his classroom. From dive bars to weekly gigs, Snider learned the craft of storytelling, not just in how he sang, but how he held attention, how he invited listeners in. By the mid-1990s, Todd Snider emerged as a distinct voice in Americana, folk rock and alternative country. His songs were at once intimate and witty, sometimes dark but often with a wink. He released his debut album Songs for the Daily Planet 1994, followed by Step Right Up 1996, under the label of Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville imprint. From the start, his songs stood apart. What made Snider stand out? A blend of folk, rock, country, and blues that refused easy categorization. Sharp-eyed lyrics, exploring everyday lives, lost dreams, loaf, launing, whiskey, dirt roads, and always with a human truth behind them. A storytelling voice, he sounded like he was sitting across the table, pint in hand, ready to spin you a tale. One of his signature works, is Nashville Skyline 2004. Released on the label belonging to his mentor John Prine, Boy Records, this album remains a touchstone in his career and in the alt country genre. Tracks such as Tillamook County Jail, Age Like Wine, and Play a Train Song showed both personal reflection and sharply written commentary.
Snider was never alone on his journey. He found mentors, John Prine, Guy Clark, Chris Christopherson, Jerry Jeff Walker among them. These legends showed him how to write songs that felt lived in, how to poke at the world gently yet pointedly, how to find humor in sorrow. He also collaborated and branched out. He was a founding member of the supergroup Hard-Working Americans, 2013 with Dave Schools and Dwayne Trucks etc., combining rock, blues, and his songwriting voice. His songs were covered by artists across genres, showing his reach beyond just the folk/country world. He started his own label, Aimless Records, giving him freedom to experiment and control his voice. Todd Snider always leaned into the persona of a man on the road, not vanishingly cool, not aloof, but humanly bruised, well-read, funny, sympathetic, often irreverent. His live shows, a mixture of song and story. He might introduce a tune with a tale about a motel in Texas, a broken elevator in Nashville, a friend lost, a beer spilled. He invited the audience in. He often embraced imperfection. Chronic pain from spinal stenosis, the long hours of touring, the near misses. In interviews, he said that he wanted to keep writing, keep telling stories, even if the body was weary. As the years passed, Snider never stopped releasing albums. He experimented with funk, folk, blues, he stayed busy. For example, First Agnostic Church of Hope and Wonder, 2021, is a funk-folk album where he did much of the instrumentation himself. In 2025, he released his latest album, High, Lonesome, and Then Some, which was accompanied by a tour. He indicated that this might be one of his final full-scale tours owing to his health. He remained respected, relevant, loved by fans old and new. In early November 2025, while on tour in support of High Lonesome, an incident occurred that marked a sudden shift. Snider was in Salt Lake City, Utah, when his team announced he had sustained severe injuries as the victim of a violent assault outside his hotel. Shortly thereafter, his tour dates were canceled. His management wrote, "Todd will be unable to perform for an undetermined amount of time." Further complicating matters, police later reported that Snider himself was arrested for disorderly conduct, trespass, and threats of violence following an altercation at the hospital where he was being treated. While the full legal details remain unclear, the event triggered fans' concern. A musician who had spent decades on the road suddenly off the stage, dealing with physical and legal complications. Just days after the tour cancellation, news broke that Snider had been hospitalized and diagnosed with pneumonia, specifically walking pneumonia, that worsened his condition. On November 14, 2025, Todd Snider passed away at the age of 59. His label posted a statement honoring him as our folk hero, our poet of the world, the storyteller, our beloved Todd Daniel Snider. Although the precise chain of medical events has not been publicly detailed in full, reports link the pneumonia, his hospitalization, the assault, and the tour cancellation together in a tragic convergence. What remains after Todd Snider's passing is not just a catalog of albums, but a body of work rooted in authenticity, wit, and empathy. He leaves behind songs that speak to working-class lives, to road-worn hearts, to the everyday moments that slip past unnoticed. A voice that refused to be polished into generic country music. He embraced raw edges, contradictions, humor, and heart. An enduring influence. Other artists cite him as inspiration. His work crosses genres. His labels and collaborations show a restless creativity. What remains after Todd Snider's passing is not just a catalog of albums, but a body of work rooted in authenticity, wit, and empathy. He leaves behind songs that speak to working-class lives, to road-worn hearts, to the everyday moments that slip past unnoticed. A voice that refused to be polished into generic country music. He embraced raw edges, contradictions, humor, and heart. An enduring influence. Other artists cite him as inspiration. His work crosses genres. His labels and collaborations show a restless creativity. A community of fans and musicians who recognized in him the kind of songwriter who passed the torch and kept the flame lit. His death has prompted outpourings of love and admiration. He will be remembered as the mayor of East Nashville, a troubadour of the road, a voice that didn't always seek perfection, but always sought truth. In a world where music often seeks to polish every rough edge and streamline every emotion, Todd Snider's path reminds us that songs breathe when they risk. When they talk about the late-night drive, the cheap motel, the regret and redemption, the joke and the tear. When the writer is not afraid to say, I messed up, or I got lucky, or it's been a long road. He built a bridge between folk tradition and modern life, between earnestness and irony, between old bars and new stages. His story matters because his voice felt human, not untouchable legend, but one of us. Archival footage of Snider performing live, solo acoustic, band setting. Interview clips where he tells stories about songwriting or life on the road. B-roll of Nashville, dive bars, highway signage, tour posters for High, Lonesome, and then some. Graphics summarizing key albums, e.g., East Nashville Skyline, with audio snippets of songs like Beer Run, I Can't Complain, Alright Guy. A timeline graphic of his career, 1966 birth, 1994 debut, 2004 East Nashville, 2025 album, and tour November 2025 incident death. Tribute montage. Fans, musicians quoting his influence, closing with candlelit or vinyl playing visuals. So tonight, wherever you are, put on one of his records and play it loud enough to wake up all of your neighbors, or at least loud enough to wake yourself up. Because songs like his don't just fill the silence. They break it. Todd Snider is gone from the stage, but not from our ears, not from the highways he sang about, not from the hearts that listened. The road doesn't end here. It just keeps going, a little quieter, a little richer, because one of its poets traveled it and left his footprints for us to follow. Thanks for riding shotgun, Todd. We'll keep the stories spinning. In memory of Todd Snider, 19662025. Music by Todd Snider. Portions used under fair use for commentary/review. For full discography and further reading, visit toddsnider.net. Video produced by Your Name/channel. Special thanks to his fans, collaborators, and everyone who keeps his voice alive. Don't forget like and subscribe.